Hi, Jason Pilgrim here from the Profitable Practice Podcast, where we help allied health professionals just like you empower and inspire the lives of so many more people by building bigger and better businesses. Let's go and get stuck in right now. G'day everyone, welcome to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast series, and we're having a second podcast here with ex-Australian netballer Erin Bell, a friend of mine and colleague of mine in the allied health world. We've done a previous podcast with yourself all about your background, your injuries, your links to allied health and things like that. But so welcome first and foremost to another episode, Ezzy.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
So previously we started talking about athletes. We started talking about the pressures on athletes. We started talking about the netball side of things 10 years ago. Was unprofessional in many respects. You know, team running programs, team gym programs, everything's a lot more specific, a lot more individual. The business community is now wanting a better product. You know, they're needing a better product for the spectators. There's more involved, specificity, everything's sort of lifting up. But with that comes a whole lot of complexity and a whole lot of change. And I think one of the biggest things at the moment isn't just reducing injuries, but it's actually the pressures on athletes. It's actually the mental health side, and we see it across in all sports. And I wanted to have a bit of a chat to you about it because obviously it's something you've experienced firsthand. 15 years at the top level of Australian Diamonds, World Cups, ANZ Championships, etc. So yeah, let's dig a little bit deep on this because I think it's something that all of us should be a lot more aware about and a lot more that we can actually be doing to help work with our athletes at high levels. So first of all, let's go personal with yourself. How was it for yourself over the years with dealing with the various pressures and challenges and the mental health side of things, I guess. How did you find it?
Yeah, obviously it can be a broad topic as well, depending who you talk to and different situations. I think for me, I think the challenges probably did come as the sport did get more and more professional. And because I started as an 18-year-old in Sydney, I was studying at uni, all the girls in my team were working. Netball was just a part of our day and a part of our week. It wasn't our be-all, end-all. And I guess as the years went on, that slowly started to change. And I always loved having that balance. I always made sure that I did have a job or I was studying, and then I went to netball. And I found that balance really helped me, and it just kept me mentally fresh. I was able to switch off from netball. If we had a crappy game, if I didn't play well, I was able to just go and hang with my mates or, put my head in a textbook or whatever it might be and just switch off from it and be a different person. And I think as the years went on and the sport grew, and obviously we were all pushing for professionalism, we wanted it to get bigger and be on TV, and we wanted big crowds. But then, you do have to be careful what you wish for, because obviously with all that, the pressure and the scrutiny and all that stuff increased, and the balance also started to shift for me. And I was able to work as an EP nearly full time, and then all of a sudden that started to shift, and I had to reduce my clients. I had to be available for training more, and I just started to feel that other side of me slip. And I thought, well, that's okay. Netball's a small part of your life. Invest in it. Obviously there's so many positives and you get to do so many amazing things in that elite space as well. So invest yourself in it for the short time that it's there. And that's what I did. And got to play for Australia, do some amazing things. And it probably hasn't really been since I've now retired, and I can look back and reflect on, probably for me, the last 3 years of my career was when I felt that real external pressure come in and actually affect my game. And look, everyone will be completely different with this, but for me, I don't think social media was beneficial. And I think it had a big impact on how I felt about myself and how I judged my playing ability. Whereas years ago, I didn't have to worry about that. All I needed to worry about was what my coach thought. And my coach always had constructive things to actually help me improve and make me better. It wasn't just about, saying that this wasn't very good or that wasn't very good. Oh, my computer's going to shut down. Hang on. Sorry.
No, that's all right. God love when we
I'll keep going. But it was just about to go to sleep. So the last couple of years probably were hard, and I do think that social media plays a massive role in that. And for me, it was about just not engaging with social media, which is very hard, and a lot of athletes can't do. Moving forward is the wrong way to go about it, because you can't hide from it. It's there. It's always going to be there. Yep. People are always going to be posting and saying things. So I think for me, the strategy for that is just teaching athletes how to use it and how to deal with it, and not just trying to pretend it's not there, which is probably what I did. So I think that was probably...
You've never been one to really be across it, let's be honest. Like when it comes to social media, you'll do the basics, and you've got your netball camps and things like that you've been doing and moving into business and teaching. And so you are there and you are present, but you're not prolific on the social media like other netballers are. True?
No, and some girls absolutely love it. And I think it is, this is going to sound really old, but I think it is the younger players who come up with it. And, it's always been a part of their life, and they've learnt how to engage with it. Although I do think it does depend on your experience with it. If you're a young player or an old player, it doesn't actually matter what age you are, and you have a bad experience with social media, say you're at a club one year, you're having bad games and you're getting bagged on social media, that is going to leave a lasting mark on you. Whereas if you're a young player and you're having success and you're making teams and everyone's saying how good you are, well, of course you're going to have a positive experience and think social media is the best thing. So it really all, does depend on what's happening in your career at that point. But I think it's a massive part of that, that external pressure that athletes now have to deal with that they never did have to deal with in the past. And
So the role of psychologists in netball, obviously, you were doing it at a professional level for 15 years. They weren't around 15. Well, they were around, but they weren't being heavily utilised in the netball side of things. No. How long ago would you say that the psychologists, like physios, have been around for a long time? We've had a lot of increase in strength and conditioning, exercise physiologists, dietitians have become a lot more heavily involved in netball. Professional sport, obviously, now with the added pressures, whether it's, there's a lot of different avenues. Social media is just one of them. The psychologists, how long have they been really sort of heavily involved? Because they're pretty much in every team now, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, you'll have to go and have your screening with the psychologist the same as you would have your screening with the physio. It's part of your, what you do at the start of the year. And then, depending on your need would depend on how often you see them. So there was definitely a bit of a bit of a thought around going to see the psychologist meant that you were weak and you couldn't play and you weren't mentally strong enough, and there's something wrong with her if she's going to see the psychologist.
20 years ago, if you told someone you went to a psychologist, you were seen as a crackpot, right?
Yeah, and so I do actually believe that it would have even affected selections, because I don't think our coaches were educated around it either. So girls kept it all to themselves. And I'm sure this would have happened in other sports too, but you would not let on if you weren't feeling great because you didn't want it to affect your selection. And now it's completely different. And you're encouraged to go and speak to the psychologist regularly to deal with, whatever it is that you might be feeling. And everybody experiences things on different levels. We've had athletes come out and talk about depression and how they've actually been playing through some really dark times, and as teammates you are kind of blindsided by it because you see this one person at training and then you hear that they're actually really struggling, and I think that can be kind of hard as well because you learn to switch it on and off when you need to, and as teamates
people get really good at hiding it too, don't they?
Sorry, what was that?
people get really good at hiding it too.
Oh, yeah, like some girls who have come out saying that, you know, they've really been struggling. I was in shock. And I think, you know, for me, on the flip side, I've always been someone who hasn't really struggled a lot with mental health, or, you know, I'm pretty good to brush things off and just be quite focused on my performance. And everyone said to me when I retired that I'll be fine because, you know, I haven't really had any issues throughout my playing career. But I actually found it super hard when I retired, and I was like, oh gosh, like this empty feeling, which I thought that wouldn't even exist because I was so prepared for my retirement. So it can, I don't know, it just can come and go and can hit you when you don't realize it's there. But I think, yeah, netball is definitely getting a lot better at dealing and coping with it and putting support strategies in place for players, which is amazing.
Yeah. And so what else do you think we can do about it? Is there anything else specifically that you'd like to see improved with that, or do you think we're on the right path at the moment?
I think, yeah, look, I think we are on the right path. I think that it's talked about and that it's okay now is a big part of it. So, yeah, I just think we need to just keep learning more about it and learning about individual athletes. What I will say that I just thought about that would be specific to EPs and trainers and things like that around mental health, because a lot of it is put on the psychologists, and, you know, obviously nobody else talks about it, or everyone keeps to their whatever they're employed at the club to do. But what I found when I was struggling my last year, because I was so unmotivated, and as an athlete, you are drilled that you don't want to complain or say that you can't do something, or even in terms of injuries, you're like, no, I'm fine. I'll do it anyway. I'll push through, because you don't want to you don't want to seem like there's something wrong for you and you won't get selected. So with my trainers in the gym and the EPs and the physios, for them to actually just understand where I'm at mentally was really important from my physical training point of view, because then they could say to me, all right, Ez, you're only doing 2 reps of that, and then you're moving on. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me permission to actually do what I need to do that's right for me. But if you had said to me, do 4, I would have anyway, because that was just my mindset. But it wasn't what was good for me. So, yeah, I think everyone plays a role in that, even if you think you don't. All the people involved in the physical side of the training still need to be across athletes mentally to help them. Absolutely. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think it's probably something that I think we see more starting to happen into the industry, but I still don't think it's happening near as much as what it could, right? So, yeah, no, I agree with it. I think that there's got to be a lot more of a focused approach from a collaborative team avenue, not just from the psychologists as such. So, which again, in some respects, it probably sounds quite
obvious.
Quite obvious, yeah.
It doesn't happen.
It's probably quite obvious, but it's also something. But it's I guess it's common. Well, they say common sense isn't all that common. Well, maybe being on the inside, we can see that a little bit more, focus than what other people have over the years. So it's,
obviously there's that confidentiality. You can't be telling them all the issues that you discuss, but I think the trainers and EPs, physios, they need to just know where an athlete's at, so that if an athlete has a breakdown and, you know, just can't get through a set or whatever it is, the trainer knows not to push them, and they know that it's not because of the actual exercise or that moment. They know things are going on, and it's just part of that individualized program. It's just being aware of that and being able to adapt training to get the best out of that particular person. I think it all does. Yeah, it all has to work together.
Yeah. And you're also now doing a lot of teaching as well, and teaching a netball and that in schools in Melbourne and that as well. So it's obviously something that you're adapting into your approach to the sort of the junior netballers coming through.
Oh, 100%. And like I see even girls in year 7 like not want to say things because they want to train, because they don't want to look bad, or, you know, they don't want their friends to think there's something wrong with them. And just encouraging them to talk about it to whoever they feel comfortable, I think is the first step. And then, I just always say to them, look, I don't need to know the full story, but if there's something going on, just let me know so that I know not to yell at you for not passing a shoulder pass. And then, you get really upset and I'm thinking, oh no, what was that all about? Like, I think, we do, especially like at a school. My girls are young and like, I do need to be very wary of their mental health and look after them and protect them as well as teach them netball skills. So it is, it's big. It's definitely big.
A well-rounded athlete. Starts a lot younger than what it used to many years ago, didn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Erin, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. To dive into the world of an ex-professional athlete, I mean, you're not that far off. It's only been a couple of months, let's be honest.
It's been about a year, but that's all right.
What's that?
It's been about a year, but you know.
Yeah, I know, but you're still hanging around. Yeah, no, it's all good. Thanks for obviously passing on some insights, particularly in regard to the athlete pressures, the mental health side of things, and how it's changed over quite a few years, and how we need to be a bit more open and honest at the junior level to make sure that the right people are moving forward in the right ways from here on in. So thank you very much for your time, and we'll no doubt be chatting with you again very soon.
No worries. Thank you.
Cheers.
Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.